5th, 2025. I called this meeting to order at 2:04 p.m. This is the Interpreter Licensing Committee. Kyla, do you mind doing a roll call for me?
Sure. Commissioner Cinco?
Here.
Commissioner Cohen?
Here.
And then Commissioner Swenson?
Here.
Our AAG for the agency, Elise Phelan?
Here.
And then ACDHH staff present, Nikki Sukup?
Hi, I'm here.
Carmen Smith?
Here.
Okay. Ashley Martin?
Here.
Victoria Vaughn?
Here.
And then myself, Kyla Dalton-Nava.
Thank you, Kyla. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the new ILC process, which will be in place indefinitely to help the board catch up on some of the interpreter complaints that have been brought forward. So the Interpreter Licensure Committee will be making a recommendation to the board as a whole. And then the board will decide from there on the ultimate move that we're going to make. Okay. Is there anyone that has any questions about that? If at any point we do have a question that is of a legal substance for Elise, then we can move into executive session. Okay. Next on the agenda is to review the interpreter applications. Is there anyone that would be willing to read the list of names? Commissioner Cohen?
This is Commissioner Cohen. I can do that. I move that we accept the following. Hold up. There are 34 names, and I move that we accept the following names: Alana Perez, Amanda Roberts, Amber Caldwell, Bruce King, Katsian Maris, Sri Gulia, Crescenciano Garcia, Cynthia L. Williams, Debbie Helms, Delynn Saunders, Diane Noche, Elizabeth Ciparone, Emily Beach, Anna Rutherford, Heather Beck, James Virgilio, Jennifer Carver, Jennifer Sabori, Jessica Brown, Jonathan Van Huel, Karen Lewis Ross, Karina Kesson, Kathleen Peters, Kendall Polonis, Kylie Solomon, Lauren Welch, Mary Covington, Michael Farner, Patrice Herring, Rebecca Embry, Sarah Munoz, Sina Rice, Tiffany Laird, and Valerie Weimer.
Thank you. Do I now ask for a second to that motion? Is that correct?
This is Commissioner Stanko. I second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Sinker. So out of that list of interpreters, there were 5 new in-state interpreters, 1 new CDI, and 3 provisionals. Congratulations to that list of interpreters and welcome to the group. The next item is announcements. Are there any announcements from ACDHH? None?
No.
Thank you. Next, we are going to move on to public comments. Kyla will be reading those. Prior to that, I'm going to just read the little blurb about time limits. I can get that up here. Okay, the board is responsible for establishing time limits for public participation. Unless modified by the board at a particular meeting, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes on all topics. Personal attacks on board members, staff, or other persons in attendance or absence are discouraged. Individuals are cautioned that statements concerning others that could be considered slanderous may be subject the speaker to civil action. Those who violate this rule can be barred from future appearances before the board. This applies to both public hearings and board meetings. Your cooperation is appreciated. And now we'll move to Victoria, who will take us through the interpreter complaints.
Hi there. And just to make sure, Commissioner Swenson, we're going to do the public comment? So is Kyla going to read all of those before? Just want to make
Yes,
sure.
sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
No, we're fine. Okay.
Sorry. Instead of Victoria, we're actually going to have Kyla read the public comments. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have several written and a few video public comments for this meeting. The first written comment is coming from Caitlin Brock, who's provided the following comments. Caitlin says, I have never felt compelled to file a complaint until my experience with this interpreter. While it's been about a year since the complaint was filed, my feelings about this event remain the same. Multiple tenets within the CPC were violated during this assignment by this interpreter. My main concern is how this behavior is addressed. My hopes or goals of this complaint is for the interpreter to consider their actions during future assignments not cause harm to our profession and community. During this encounter, I was often told to stop interpreting, to sign faster, and was often harassed throughout the entire interpreting process. Some examples of this were eye rolling, dirty looks, and reacting negatively when asking for clarification. Decisions that I made are within my scope as an interpreter were often questioned during the assignment. In conclusion, I'd like the board to consider how harmful harassment is in the workplace as an interpreter. This behavior is a detriment to our field, as we are also going through an interpreter shortage. Interpreters must remain civil and respectful towards each other. Most importantly, this impacts how consumers view our profession as well. Thank you for your consideration and time. And I just forgot to mention that comment was in regards to the complaint filed against Linda Bove, just to clarify. The second comment is going to be a video comment from Linda Bove, who is here with us in person. So I'm going to ask her to come on screen, and then she's fine to deliver her comments.
All right. Kyla, can the interpreter clarify? Did you mean that Linda will sign them live now, or will you show the video? I didn't get it.
That's correct. Yeah,
Confused.
Linda's here with us now.
Thank you.
And this is Linda. I just wanted to let you know that I am here and I'm available to answer any questions if you needed some clarification to any of my responses in my letters. So if you have any questions for clarification from the CDI perspective, I'm here to answer those. Were there any questions for me? Oh, okay.
Thank you, Linda. The next live comments are going to come from Audrey Evans, who is here with us as well. I'm going to ask her to turn her camera on, and then she can go ahead and give her comments.
Okay. Hi, and want to thank the board for taking out the time to hear me today. This complaint hurts more than you all will ever know. It, in my opinion, is a complete misrepresentation of who I am and how I work out in the field, or even for the deaf, blind, and hard of hearing community that I feel I have represented and tried to provide customer service for. I think there was a lot of cultural norms. It's this, I'm trying to have my thoughts clear, but they're kind of jumbled a little bit. Only because what am I trying to say? I don't know what to tell you, but just like this complaint hurts. I don't know how to explain how much it hurts. And there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation, a lot that has not been shared that you all are not privy to. But I feel very strongly that if you met me and you know me, that's not me. It's just not me. So if there are other questions I can answer publicly, I will answer those. But just know that it's not me. And that's all I can say is it's not me. So if you have questions, I will answer those. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Audrey.
Okay, now we'll start the series of written comments. And I'll just preface this by saying, to make it easier for everybody here, all of these written comments that have been received are in response to the interpreter licensing complaint filed against Audrey Evans. Okay, so the first written comment comes from Stacy De Silva, who writes, I hope this message finds all board members well. Thank you for the opportunity to share my perspective regarding an interpreting assignment currently under review by ACDHH. This particular assignment involved a large team of interpreters providing services to a diverse group of community members, including deaf, close vision, tactile, protactile, and hard of hearing individuals. I was assigned as a stage interpreter. When my team rotated on stage, I took a seat in the back of the room where I had a clear view of the interpreters and participants. It is important to note that several interpreters on the assignment were newer to the field and had not yet completed their BEI or RID certification exams. One of those interpreters was Ashley. I want to emphasize that Ashley is a wonderful colleague and that I always enjoy opportunities to work with her. During this event, I also observed Audrey acting in a supportive, mentor-like capacity toward Ashley. Audrey is a seasoned, certified interpreter with a strong reputation in the field, making her an excellent resource for emerging interpreters. During my observations, I noticed that Ashley was positioned near individuals who required close vision access to the interpretation. At one point, Ashley appeared to have fallen behind and had stopped signing while the speaker continued. I heard Audrey quietly encourage her by saying, "You got this, Ashley," and "Ashley, go on and start to interpret." Audrey appeared to initially attempt to feed the information to help her re-engage. When Ashley continued to struggle, Audrey moved toward her in an effort to smoothly transition into the active interpreting role. In my professional opinion, when the primary interpreter has dropped the message, it is standard for the team interpreter to transition into the active role so that the message flow continues seamlessly. Audrey attempted this transition by sliding onto the chair in what seemed intended as a fluid handoff. My expectation was that Ashley would simultaneously shift to the support role in the adjacent chair. Unfortunately, during this transition, Ashley slid off the chair and fell to the floor. I want to be very clear. At no point did I observe Audrey using her hands to push, maneuver, or forcibly remove Ashley from the chair. Audrey later explained that as she moved into position, she may have accidentally bumped Ashley with her side. However, based on my direct observations, it was evident that her intention was solely to continue the interpretation smoothly for the benefit of the consumers. Had the transition occurred as planned, it would have been a strong example of teamwork and professional technique. Following the incident, Audrey remained calm, respectful, and composed. During our debrief, she did not display frustration or negativity, and the team as a whole showed professionalism despite differences of opinion regarding setup and staffing levels. Considering the size and complexity of the event, I was impressed with how the interpreters collectively rose to the occasion, demonstrating flexibility, resilience, and commitment to ensuring access for all participants. In summary, I believe what occurred was an unfortunate accident during what was otherwise a strong example of teamwork and professional dedication. I hold both Audrey and Ashley in high regard and appreciate the contributions of all interpreters involved. Respectfully submitted, Stacy Da Silva. The next comment comes from Brianna Mahoney, who says, "To the members of the commission, my name is Brianna Mahoney, and I am writing to you today to speak to the exceptional character and integrity of Audrey Evans, a licensed sign language interpreter. I have had the privilege of knowing Audrey for 17 years, and she has been a close friend, mentor, and unwavering source of support throughout that time. Audrey's dedication to her profession and her community is evident not only in her work, but in how she inspires others. For years, I wanted to become a sign language interpreter, but lacked the confidence to pursue it seriously. I was convinced that I wasn't good enough and would never meet the standards required for the job. However, Audrey's encouragement and belief in me changed everything. She became my biggest cheerleader, offering her support every step of the way. I remember countless times when I would call her in a panic before an exam, and she would calmly remind me of my capabilities. She taught me that failing was also an achievement, a part of the journey toward growth. Audrey helped me overcome a long period of self-doubt that kept me from my true career path. With her guidance, I was able to pass every exam and certification on my first attempt, something I genuinely believe would not have happened without her. Audrey's influence extends far beyond my personal journey. I have witnessed her consistently support and mentor countless others, always offering her time, experience, and wise words to help people achieve their goals. She is the kind of person you want in your corner, someone who genuinely celebrates the successes of others. I have seen her cheer on a graduate who is heartbroken after not passing an RID certification exam. After Audrey's kind words and encouragement, I saw the girl's face light up and really take to heart what Audrey had said. That same student is now a licensed sign language interpreter. I've also seen her lend her support to a young woman competing in a pageant, going above and beyond to support this contestant and her family. Audrey Evans is a person of immense loyalty, wisdom, and compassion. Her commitment to mentoring others and her deep-seated belief in their potential is a testament to her character. I have no doubt that she will continue to be an asset to the interpreting community. Thank you for your time and consideration. The next written comment comes from Marlo Jefferson, who writes, I have known Audrey D. Evans for over 30 years. She is a beautiful person, loving and hardworking. She's a professional and caring interpreter who loves what she does, not one to overstep or harm those who she works with or interprets for. I know she loves interpreting and would never do or say anything to jeopardize her career or another coworker or client. The next written comment comes from Alfonso Potts, who writes, I have known Audrey for over 20 years on a personal as well as spiritual level. She has always conducted herself with the utmost of integrity and care. The level of compassion and professionalism have been exemplary to me, and I have been able to implement many of the lessons that I have learned from her into my own professional career. In addition to her professional skills, her level of caring for others throughout her community proves to be exemplary. The many hours of volunteering is often seen. However, the unseen is also great. Always available to assist with food, flowers, and other displays of empathy as a comfort to many. The next comment comes from Joni Horn, who writes, Good afternoon, board members. I am asking that this letter be read in conjunction with the portion of the meeting pertaining to Audrey Evans. Do know this letter does not pertain specifically to the complaint filed against Ms. Evans, but regarding her professional relationship with Arizona Freelance Interpreting Services. Ms. Evans has been working with Arizona Freelance Interpreting Services for at least 20 years. Her history with AZFLIS has been professional. Ms. Evans has proven to be reliable, professional, and an asset to our organization. AZFLIS has confidence in Ms. Evans' ability to reason and make professional decisions while on assignment. AZFLIS has not received any complaints from customers or consumers to date of services that she's provided. Thank you. The next comment comes from Cassandra T. Randolph, who writes, I am disheartened by the news that a longtime friend and colleague, Audrey D. Evans, has been accused of unprofessional misconduct. I have known Miss Evans for more than 20 years, and in that time, I have never known her to behave in a way that could be construed as disreputable, unscrupulous, unprincipled, or dishonorable. Her deep commitment to the deaf community drives her to volunteer hundreds of hours each year as an advocate and educator. It is inconceivable that someone who consistently demonstrates the level of integrity she does could behave in a manner consistent with what she has been accused of. I just need to get a quick drink because I've been reading a while. Thank you.
Kyla,
Okay.
would you like me to read some? Just to give you a break.
I'm good. It's up to you if you'd like to. We're good.
Okay,
Do
go
an
ahead.
interpreter switch or we're okay, I guess we're good. The next comment comes from Bridget Michelle, who writes, I have known Audrey Evans for about 15 years, and she has been a client of mine for over 11 years. Words that come to mind when describing her are selfless, jovial, kind, motivating, dependable, hardworking, and self-aware. Audrey views every task as a personal service to others, whether it's taking a friend to run an errand, hanging out to catch up, or helping others make a life-changing decision. Her work relationships become friendships instantly, and her care and interest are felt before she speaks. I have seen Audrey volunteer her time and energies in the deaf community here in Arizona since we met, and I hear of personal connections within the deaf community in many states where her name is mentioned. The experiences always begin the same, with a smile and "she's the best." Audrey has assisted many hearing and deaf to thrive in their personal lives and professional careers by making herself available to listen, counsel, and be their biggest cheerleader. There is no one that wants everyone to succeed more than Audrey. Her spirit exudes the phases, "everyone is welcome," and "how can I help you grow?" The next comment comes from Dashiell Jackson, who writes, "I've known Audrey for a long while. As an interpreter, she has given me plenty of good support to further my professional development. I don't know the context here, but I do know that Audrey is an asset and has lots of love to give. Professionally, I have no reason to doubt her abilities or conduct at all." The next comment comes from Petra Marshall, who writes, "My name is Petra Marshall, and I have actively known Audrey D. Evans for 30 years in a professional capacity, as well as in community settings. We first met at a deaf conference where we both volunteered in the tactile department supporting deafblind attendees. In addition to her interpreting, Audrey was attentive, respectful, and compassionate toward the deafblind individuals assigned to her. She showed genuine care while remaining within professional and ethical boundaries, a balance that impressed me greatly. Audrey is always mindful of the RID tenets. I have seen her step away from a situation to carefully consider the tenets before responding, and then follow up with the respective agency to explain the reasoning behind her decision. I am aware of this practice because we have troubleshooted events together, and I have observed firsthand how she consistently falls back on the tenets to guide her actions." This commitment to ethical best practices is something I have personally appreciated and adopted in my own work. Beyond specific assignments, I have also seen Audrey contribute in community settings such as deaf events and church services, where she ensures accessibility with patience, cultural respect, and professionalism. In every environment, Audrey demonstrates reliability, integrity, and compassion, making her a trusted professional and valued member of the community. While I understand that concerns are under review, my direct experience shows Audrey to be an ethical, dependable, and dedicated professional who upholds the highest standards of the interpreting field. I respectfully ask the board to consider her longstanding record of professionalism and service." The next comment comes from Lizzie Grant. She says, "I am writing to express my full support for my colleague, Audrey Evans, in light of recent allegations regarding her professionalism. As a fellow American Sign Language interpreter who has had the privilege of working alongside Audrey, I can say without hesitation that she is one of the most professional, respectful, and dependable colleagues I have ever known. Audrey approaches her work with care and integrity. She is consistently prepared, punctual, and committed to providing accurate and respectful access for consumers. In team settings, she is supportive, collaborative, and ensures the success of the assignment as a whole. She treats deaf, hard of hearing, and hearing consumers with dignity, always centering their needs while maintaining strict confidentiality. Her interactions with colleagues are equally marked by respect and encouragement, creating a sense of trust and partnership in every assignment. What stands out most about Audrey is not only her strong interpreting skills, but also the way she upholds the values of our profession in every aspect of her work. She conducts herself ethically, honors commitments, and takes responsibility for her own professional growth. These qualities are more than professional standards. They reflect who Audrey is as a person. I have never once experienced or witnessed behavior from Audrey that could be described as unprofessional. Quite the opposite, she has proven time and again to be a valued member of the interpreting community and a trusted presence within the deaf community. Her character, consistency, and commitment to our field are beyond reproach. It is my sincere hope that this board will recognize the integrity and professionalism that Audrey brings to her work and our community. I am confident that she will continue to be an asset to both her colleagues and the people we serve. And regardless of what the board decides, I will jump at my next chance to work with Audrey because she is good people and I can trust her work and ethics. Thank you for your time. Let us be uplifted and uplifters. The next comments come from Jessica Chapman, who writes, I am deeply shocked and concerned by the things I am hearing regarding the situation involving Audrey Evans. While I was not present and do not have all the details, I feel compelled to speak to the character and professionalism of someone I know well. Audrey is a kind, hardworking, and honest individual with a generous spirit. She is a true professional who takes her responsibility seriously and treats others with respect. In my experience, Audrey has always conducted herself with integrity and a strong work ethic. It is difficult to believe that she would knowingly engage in any behavior that could jeopardize her career or harm others. I sincerely hope that the board will consider the possibility that this situation stems from a misunderstanding or an unresolved conflict that may have been mishandled. It is essential that all parties involved receive a fair and thorough review and that assumptions about motives or intentions are not made without clear evidence. I trust that the truth will come to light and a fair and just resolution will be reached. Audrey deserves that, as does anyone involved. Thank you for your time and consideration. The next comments come from Rhonda Broviak, who writes, Audrey Evans is a hard worker. She is very responsible. She's been caring for people in the deaf community for a long time. Sometimes I run into her at doctor's appointments while she's there interpreting for deaf patients. The next written comments come from Kayla Torres, who writes, I am writing to provide a character reference for my friend and fellow volunteer, Audrey Evans, who I have had the privilege of knowing for the past 5 years. During this time, I have worked alongside Audrey in the deaf community, where she has consistently demonstrated compassion, dedication, and a genuine commitment to helping others. Audrey is a person of remarkable integrity. In our time volunteering together, I have seen her go above and beyond to ensure that people feel supported, valued, and respected. Her willingness to give her time, energy, and kindness without hesitation speaks volumes about her character. One of Audrey's most admirable qualities is her ability to connect with individuals from all walks of life. She has one of the biggest hearts I know. Her efforts have left a lasting impact on countless people within our community, and I can confidently say that she is a positive force in the lives of those around her. In all my years of knowing Audrey, I've never questioned her honesty, reliability, or moral compass. She is someone who can be trusted without reservation, and I believe she brings those values into every aspect of her life. It is my sincere hope that this letter gives you a clear picture of Audrey's character and the respect she has earned through her actions. She is not only a devoted friend, but an asset to the community, and I wholeheartedly stand behind her. The next comments come from Ventura Torres, who writes, I am writing this statement on behalf of Audrey Evans, whom I've had the privilege of knowing and observing in personal settings. Audrey possesses remarkable qualities that make her stand out as an exceptional individual, particularly in her work in the deaf community. Audrey is a highly skilled ASL interpreter, demonstrating not only technical fluency, but also an authentic respect for deaf culture. She goes above and beyond in her efforts to ensure clear, compassionate communication, and accessibility for those whom she serves. Her attentiveness creates an environment where individuals feel valued, understood, and supported. Integrity is at the core of who Audrey is. She treats everyone she encounters with kindness and respect, consistently modeling professionalism and empathy. Offering support in everyday interactions, Audrey approaches each situation with dedication and care. Her commitment to serving the deaf community is evident in the way she invests extra time, energy, and effort to meet needs beyond expectations. Audrey does not view her work as simply a responsibility, but as a calling to bridge understanding and foster inclusion. In summary, Audrey Evans is a person of outstanding character whose skill, kindness, and integrity have had a lasting impact on many lives. I give my highest recommendation and full confidence in her abilities and contributions. Next comment comes from Olivia Toy, who writes, I have known Audrey for almost 9 years. I became hard of hearing and began associating with the Phoenix deaf community in September 2016. Audrey showed great patience with me as I learned American Sign Language and taught me so much about deaf culture. Now, after 9 years, Audrey is a close friend that I am completely comfortable around. I know she always has the best intentions and the biggest heart. She does her best to support everyone and make sure people always feel included. I find her honesty refreshing and feel confident that I can talk to her about anything and it remains confidential. I am so glad to have someone like Audrey in my life and to call her my friend. She is very knowledgeable about what interpreters are allowed and not allowed to do, and I've always seen her uphold the ethical code in every circumstance. Even when she's going through the hardest times in her personal life, you can count on Audrey showing up with a huge smile on her face. The next written comment comes from Hannah Wegert, who writes, I have had the privilege of knowing Audrey Evans for the past 8 years. We first met at my American Sign Language class graduation in 2017. Audrey taught me that there is more to supporting the deaf than simply knowing ASL. She showed me how to respect and love the culture. I have seen how deeply she cares for others and is dedicated to her work and to supporting the deaf community. In my experience, Audrey's character reflects selflessness and genuine care for people. I believe she is a truly exceptional individual. The next written comments come from Kathy Ratton, who writes, I have known Audrey for a number of years. She is a very caring and attentive person who loves and enjoys helping people. That is why being involved with the deaf community is one of her passions. In her work as an interpreter, she makes sure that the needs of the client are a priority. She is also a hard worker and a person of integrity. She devotes much of her time and energy in addressing the needs of those in this community. The next written comments come from Petula Oster. I think I'm pronouncing that right, I hope. She writes, to the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, I am submitting this public comment in support of my colleague, Audrey Evans, regarding the April 6th, 2024 event at Apache ASL Trails. I was present at that event as a friend and a volunteer, and what I personally witnessed was not at all consistent with the allegations that have been described in the complaints. The setup and seating were disorganized and awkward, with many different interpreting roles and skill levels overlapping. Within that environment, what I observed between Ms. Evans and her team member appeared to be a standard mentor-mentee interaction. I did not witness any behavior that rose to the level of a push or a shove. If something of that seriousness had actually occurred, it is unclear to me why it was not handled at the time as an urgent matter, rather than surfacing much later in a delayed complaint process. I also want to emphasize Ms. Evans' character. She is a professional who is dedicated to her work and to the community she serves. The characterization of her behavior in this complaint does not align with the person I know or with what I've observed that day. I do, however, want to voice concern about the process itself. The professional community involved here is relatively small, and the relationships among colleagues and office staff can be very close and sometimes overlapping. This creates an environment where conflicts of interest, favoritism, or even nepotism may unintentionally influence how complaints are filed or pursued. That makes it difficult for peers to speak up in support of someone like Ms. Evans without fear of repercussions. The length of time it has taken to move this complaint forward also raises concerns. Long delays leave professionals under a cloud of suspicion, creating unnecessary stress and harm to their reputations. This is not fair to Mrs. Evans, nor is it beneficial to our broader interpreting deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing community. For these reasons, I sincerely hope this complaint is dismissed in its entirety. At minimum, I urge the Commission to re-examine how complaints are handled with an eye towards fairness, timeliness, and transparency. Audrey Evans deserves to have her name cleared, and the community deserves a process that builds trust rather than erodes it. The next comment comes from Brenda Terry, who writes, I am submitting a comment as a character witness for Audrey Evans. I have known Audrey for approximately 15 years and first met her at a professional development conference in Phoenix, Arizona in 2010. At that time, she was part of the interpreting team for a national conference, and I noticed I admired her for her skill set as well as her professionalism. In my observation, she exhibited extraordinary care in representing the ideal of what a best practices look like in real time, in service action. She demonstrated exceptional sensitivity towards ethical behavior and also seemed to show respect and high regard for her interpreting colleagues. As I observed her interaction with deaf and hard of hearing attendees, I could only conclude that she interacted with respect for them as well as all others in attendance. In the years since our initial meeting, I've only known Audrey to continue demonstrating high standards of professionalism, and she is regarded as a colleague by me and others who also engage in the sign language profession. The next comments come from Rebecca Abeta, who writes, I would vouch for Audrey in terms of her interpreting skills. It would be a crime not to allow her to maintain her interpreting certification. She has immersed herself into the deaf community, utilizing signs based on the client's preferences, as well as making sure the client understands not only what Audrey signs, but also the situation itself. Her demeanor and facial expressions matches her ASL skills, and it's hard to find a Black woman who can interpret at the level she is now. It is sad to know that so many rumors are out there about the situation, yet ACDHH has not been fair or neutral in their investigation. There's too many conflict of interest, and from my understanding, one is innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. Eyewitnesses should have been interviewed, and reports from both parties should have been taken at the time of the event. I truly believe that Audrey deserves a fair chance to defend herself, to utilize the witnesses that actually saw what happened, and out of the situation still have her interpreter certification. The next comments come from Erica Grijalva, who writes, I have known Audrey for many years. I love the kind of person she is. She's very kind-hearted, loving, and sweet. She's extremely friendly and loves making everyone feel loved and accepted. She always speaks to you with such sweetness and kindness. She is someone who's not selfish. She goes out of her way to help and will be there for those who need the help. Even when Audrey doesn't know someone well, she will show them so much love and makes you feel welcome and like your family. For anyone that knows Audrey and is friends with her, knows what a blessing it is to have her in their lives. The next written comment comes from L. Reina, who writes, this is for Audrey Evans. I would like to say that she is a very kind and loving person and has been a fantastic help in the deaf community. I've known her for several years and have been an eyewitness of her kind and supportive help to the deaf community and to so many others. And then we have another written comment from Connie Walton, who writes, my name is Connie Walton. I have known Audrey Evans for over 10 years. She has always been a kind and caring person. There were two additional comments that were supposed to be live comments, but they're not. So I'll just read what they've written. This first one comes from Carla Parker, who writes, "My name is Carla from Cleveland, Ohio. I've known Audrey Evans for almost 15 years now. She's an enthusiastic and eager person who loves helping others. Her heart is truly kind and helpful, like a treasure trove of gold diamonds. Her personality is zealous, happy to help, and very sweet. She's very friendly and always smiles. She was my interpreter, and her sign language was very clear, helping me understand what she was saying. She wasn't mean or mad, she just wanted to help me understand. I appreciate her efforts to help me understand, including her facial expressions. She's a great person. That's why I love her. She's a great interpreter." The last written comments come from Sonia Tucker, who writes, "Hello, I know Audrey Evans for 15 years. She is a wonderful person. She's funny, kind, and very lovable. Audrey has interpreted for me many times. She helps me if I don't understand things. She's very clear and honest, and I love her very much, especially when she makes me laugh." And then we have 2 video comments to play, and then that will be it for public comments. Let me just get the screen shared. Okay. Can you guys all see the screen? Yes? Okay.
Hello, my name is Donna, and I know Audrey Evans. I have known her for a while. She is funny, she is very sweet, she is incredibly supportive of the deaf people and has been for a long time. I love her personality. She's very friendly, very kind. She's a wonderful interpreter. She's very sweet. Thank you.
Okay. Let me just have one more here. Let me get that up and running. Okay, the second or the last video comment. Okay. And are you guys able to see my screen? Okay, perfect.
Hello, I'm Caleb Chapman. I'm a deaf member of the Arizona Deaf community, and I am making this comment on behalf of Audrey Evans. I have known Audrey for about 15 years. I know her fairly well. I know her character. And the allegations against her to harm another person don't align with her character. I cannot imagine it. It does not align with who she is. She is a very loving person. She's a very supportive person who's very supportive of the deaf community. She has invested a lot of help and support into the community. She works as a professional interpreter. She always is respectful. She has integrity. She is a very professional person. She's always interested in doing what is right and what is good for people, and that is antithetical to someone who'd want to do harm to someone. She's not a person who would do that. Her integrity wouldn't allow it. She's also an asset to the deaf community as an interpreter. A lot of people rely on her work. I think it's very unfortunate that she's facing these allegations. I hope that the board makes a decision and takes this decision seriously, rather, and considers the evidence in your analysis. I can't believe anything other than she is innocent of these allegations. And to me, it appears to be an untruth that she is alleged to have caused harm to someone. And it seems like it would be you being deceived by someone to make a decision against her. Comment cut off in the middle.
Great, that is it for public comments.
Thank you, Kyla, for reading that long list of comments. We appreciate that. Next, we will go on to the actual interpreter complaints that Victoria will present to us.
Okay. So checking my volume to make sure we're good. Okay. All right. So, oh,
This is Commissioner Cohen. I just wanted to interrupt. I just want to do a time check. I know we had until from 2 to 3. So are we good to, where are we on that as far as time goes?
I think Kyla will, she's probably having a hard time coming back on. We'll let Kyla answer that because I'm not sure.
Thank you. So interpreters are confirmed to 4 o'clock. It just depends on how long it takes you guys to get through the 2 complaints, but that's it. If you have a hard stop at 3 o'clock, then we might need to.
This is Commissioner Cohen. I'm okay for now.
Okay.
I will leave that. I just wanted to check in with everyone else.
Thank you.
Is everyone okay with continuing? Does anybody need to leave at 3?
This is Commissioner Nasenko. I do have to get back to work. I can stay on until 3, until 4. Sorry, a little bit of a brain meltdown right there. But in the future, it might be better to book a start and end time based on interpreter availability and this is Commissioner Cohen. Yeah, maybe 2 hours or longer, something like that.
Thank you, commissioners. Okay, go ahead, Victoria.
All righty. Oh, hold on. Looks like we have more information.
Dustin did say that the interpreters were scheduled until 3:30, and he does have a first stop today at 3:30.
Okay. So does everyone want me to we'll try to get through this one since we have 30 minutes, or how do we go ahead? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this report is for a complaint filed by Carmen Smith against interpreter Audrey Evans. It is an allegation of unprofessional conduct during a deafblind forum hosted by ACDHH in April of 2024. So the allegation is that during an ACDHH deafblind forum meeting, Ms. Evans allegedly pushed Ms. Ashley Martin from a chair while switching interpreter positions. Carmen Smith observed Ms. Martin falling from the chair and reaching to brace for herself for impact. Ms. Smith met with Ms. Evans about her unprofessional behavior, to which Ms. Evans apologized, explaining her actions were to avoid delaying the message for consumers. So that's the allegation. Just as a point of clarification too, there's some talk about conflict of interest or perceived conflict of interest, being that the complainant is Carmen Smith. The interpreter that was involved in the allegation is also a staff here, Ashley Martin, and then I am the investigator. So those factors were taken into account, we did internally analyze our processes and consulted with our AAG, Elise Phelan, who's also here, on numerous occasions. We did look at our options. We did look at the potential outcomes of those options. One possibility was to have an external investigation completed by an external entity. However, we looked into that, and the potential penalties from that outside entity would have been significantly harsher than the ACDH board is authorized to impose by statute. And so that would have resulted in an inequitable outcome for any interpreter involved in a complaint filed by ACDHH if we did that way. So it would start off already unfair if that were the case, if we went that route. Also, we did come up with a plan where I would continue to investigate this particular complaint. We would proceed as normal, but we would also have Rob Vorick, who is another ACDHH staff member. He's an experienced interpreter and investigator. He would oversee the process to ensure that things were neutral on the part of the investigator. So again, the role of the investigator is to get the information from both sides and then present it to you, the ILC. You then make a recommendation to the full board to take action if they feel one is warranted. The decision-making part of this has nothing to do with internal ACDHH staff. So I just wanted to cover that part of it after letting you know what the allegations are. So for this particular complaint, the complaint process, the way we covered it was the investigator sent initial questions to Ms. Evans. Ms. Evans' responses to those initial questions to find out what happened were brief. They consisted mainly of yes, no answers and providing little information or context of what happened on her end. There were some witnesses mentioned in the complaint. The first witness was Nikki Sukup. The investigator did send questions to Nikki to inquire about what she saw. She stated that Audrey sat on the same chair as Ashley, pushing Ashley onto the floor while they were switching teams. And Nikki also noted that Audrey apologized to Ashley after the incident, according to her understanding. And that was all that she saw. She didn't see anything else. Of course, interviewed Ashley Martin as well for this investigation. Ashley Martin did confirm that Audrey touched her left shoulder, causing her to fall off the chair. Ashley also explained she was feeling overwhelmed and during the assignment and had to ask for support. And so it appears that Audrey's best judgment for support was to take over. That's why they were doing that switch. Regarding the post-incident conversation where there was a conversation where Carmen talked with Ashley and Audrey after the meeting or the forum ended to find out what was going on. Ashley does recall that conversation, and Carmen expressed disappointment in the actions of Audrey, and then Audrey apologizing, acknowledging her actions were inappropriate, but did not intend to cause harm to Ashley. Ashley does say that she was feeling emotional during that meeting after it all happened, and she was uncomfortable. She was feeling emotional and was at her wit's end at that event with that debrief due to past uncomfortable moments that she experienced with Ms. Evans as her mentor. So during that debrief with Carmen, Audrey, and Ashley remained quiet for the majority of the time because she was so overwhelmed. Ashley did express that this is a difficult situation, and she recognizes that Audrey is a good person, but also acknowledges that a physical act did occur that ended up with her on the floor, and it was a hit to her pride a bit, having to endure that. When Ashley was asked, what is the perfect outcome of this unfortunate situation? What do you want to see? What will help try to mend, not fix, but try to make things better, for lack of a better word. And she suggested a training, maybe some CEUs on mentoring, on ethics, how to team appropriately. The report I gave has more detail about that interview that I did with everyone, but these are the highlights, remember. So after interviewing Ashley, then we had a letter from Ms. Evans, which is a request for dismissal. That letter is in the board report as well. Ms. Evans sent a letter requesting that the complaint be dismissed due to perceived conflict of interest, arguing that ACDH's dual role as a complainant and investigator undermined impartiality. She requested an independent external investigator if the dismissal was not granted. The investigator did let Ms. Evans know that as staff, the investigator had no authority to dismiss anything, but that the letter would be presented to the board and the ILC committee. A second round of questions was submitted to Ms. Evans in an attempt to investigate further. Ms. Evans denied making any physical contact with Ashley Martin during that switch on the day of the deafblind forum, stating it was not a push or an accidental bump. There was no contact made. And this is in the second set of questions. Ms. Evans stated that her intention was to follow industry protocol for interpreter rotation at the 15-minute mark, to maintain service quality and interpreter stamina, denying any intent to rush. Ms. Evans claimed that Ashley did not fall, but waved her arms, then intentionally rolled off the chair and sat on the edge of the platform stage. Ms. Evans' immediate reaction was surprise, asking Ashley, "Why are you sitting there?" She stated she only became aware of the allegation of pushing after Carmen Smith approached her and Ashley the day of the forum. So some of my final comments are, as you can see, there's a direct conflict between the accounts of the involved parties. The complaint and the witness statements allege unprofessional behavior and physical contact by Audrey Evans, which she adamantly denies. Ms. Evans' account directly contradicts the complaint and the witness statements, and she denies all physical contact and claims that Ashley Martin intentionally rolled off the chair. And just a few more comments here. The investigator recently became aware of 3 more potential witnesses. So again, what we're doing today is having a discussion to see what we can recommend to the full board. But I can get in touch with those witnesses that I became aware of and have their statements ready for the November meeting. But if you feel like you have enough evidence now, or you want to make a recommendation that's fully within your scope, we have the guide on what our options are, which you can refer to that. But let me know if you have any questions. I'll stop talking so we can have a bit of discussion.
This is Commissioner Swenson. Victoria, I just had a question about one of the recommendations to continue the investigation. That's in order to gather the statements of other witnesses and also to move it to a different individual to proceed with the investigation.
No, that's a good point. So the continued investigation recommendation is to get a hold of those witnesses and for them and I to have an interview and then have that ready for the November meeting when the full board reviews this.
Does anyone have thoughts on this?
This is Commissioner Cienko. Based on what I'm hearing with everything that's happening, with this complaint. It sounds like an honest mistake. So reviewing your investigative report and, the fact that this happened back in 2024, because so much time has passed, it doesn't feel right to impose a $100 fine. In lieu of that, I think we could have her complete 2 hours of workshops or continuing education units in lieu of that $100 fine. So I'm open to other board members' thoughts.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanford. Commissioner Cohen?
This is Commissioner Cohen. I agree. I think Commissioner Cienko is correct. I think imposing a $100 fine wouldn't be right. I think doing the 2 hours of workshop or continuing education, it could potentially be in the area of teaming or team interpreting. That's what I suggest.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. This is Commissioner Swenson. I agree with both commissioners on that. It does feel like because of the amount of time and the nature of what did happen, I think that we can recognize that, yes, this was a situation for Ashley that would have been definitely overwhelming and embarrassing as well. I do think that it is pretty clear that it wasn't intentional. But to be fair to both parties, I agree with the recommendation of the 2-hour workshop related to team interpreting.
This is Commissioner Cohen. Because this is a new process, what would be the appropriate step for us to take? Are we making a recommendation that would then go to the board, or how does it work? Can someone fill me in on how this process would work?
Victoria, do you want to speak to that?
Sure, I can, but I saw Elise pop up, so I'll let her. She's our expert here. I'll let her.
Oh, I was gonna say, I know that Victoria put together a helpful standard operating procedure suggested in the ILC notes. I think discussing it further with me will probably involve some reference to statutes and potential legal questions that obviously would need to be in executive session, but overall, just in a general sense, it would be moving to recommend this to the board. The board would still, have the available all of this information if the public commenters would like to bring their public comments to the board as well. But in order to have it be so that Victoria doesn't do, like the full presentation, it could be here are the public comments, and you guys have, as the ILC, you can say we move to bring our recommendation of this before the board. So something like that. But anything further than that, I think would need to be outside of public session, because there would be some legal issues to discuss.
Commissioner Cohen?
This is Commissioner Cohen. Just to get a little bit of clarification there. So in that case, we would make a motion here that we bring that recommendation to the full board meeting. And then they would read our recommendation that we came up with today, and then the full board could decide to go with our recommendation or something different. Is that correct?
That's the scope of your authority, yes. As far as the logistics of how it would be presented, I would defer to the to Commissioner Swenson and to Victoria. But as far as the scope of your legal authority, that's what I'm trying to lay out. Yes, you're correct.
Are there any further questions, or do we have a motion?
I'll second it if you make a motion, Commissioner Samko. I move that we have Audrey do 2 hours of continuing education on how to work as a team. This is Commissioner Cohen, and I second that.
Elise?
Just to clarify, this committee doesn't have the authority to implement that. You would have the authority to recommend that the board implement that. So, yes.
Oh, okay. This is Commissioner Cohen. You might need to rephrase that then. This is Commissioner Sanko. I'll rephrase my motion. I move that we make a recommendation to the full board that Audrey Evans complete 2 hours of a continuing education in the area of working with a team interpreter. This is Commissioner Cohen. I second that.
Okay. Is there any opposition? I believe I'm the only other one, so I say that the motion carries. This is the three of us.
This is Commissioner Sanko, there's 3 of us, so.
The motion carries to recommend 2 hours of CEUs related to team interpreting, and that's recommended to the board as a whole to vote on. Okay, since we are a bit short on time, can we wait for the other complaint? Is everyone in agreement?
This is Commissioner Sanko. I think we could probably do this one in 15 minutes.
Okay, great, let's go ahead then.
All right. So this is a complaint against Linda Bove, and it was filed by Caitlin Brock. Caitlin Brock alleges that Linda Bove, who's a CDI, violated multiple tenets of the Code of Professional Conduct, specifically 5.1 and 5.2 during a team interpreting assignment in a therapy setting. Caitlin Brock was the hearing interpreter in a team with Linda, and she claims that Linda Bove was uncivil, disrespectful, and created a harassing environment during this assignment. Ms. Brock alleges that Ms. Bove allegedly rolled her eyes, gave her looks of disgust, and explicitly undermined Brock to the deaf client during the assignment. Ms. Brock states that Linda Bove frequently interrupted her, breaking role, and these interruptions were not for clarification, but rather critical of Ms. Brock's interpreting. These disruptions were not discreet and created a barrier to effective communication. Some examples that Ms. Brock listed were when Ms. Brock narrated situations to the hearing consumer for inclusion or to ensure that that hearing consumer, the therapist, didn't miss communication. Ms. Bove allegedly stopped her, stating she shouldn't stop speaking. Ms. Bove, according to Ms. Brock, often began interpreting before the therapist finished a question or before Ms. Brock finished signing, skewing the message for the deaf client. And when Ms. Brock sought clarification, Ms. Bove would explicitly blame her for miscommunications that were happening. Ms. Brock says that she recounts asking for clarification on a signed word, for example, runaway, which she needed clarification for due to the setting that they were in. Ms. Bove's response, according to Ms. Brock, was condescending, providing 3 different ASL versions and expressing annoyance. Let's see. And then Ms. Brock also says that she has worked with Ms. Bove 4 or 5 times previously, noting that Ms. Bove didn't remember, even though she didn't remember her, each time that Ms. Brock has had a interaction with Ms. Bove, it's been negative behavior. So the investigator did send questions to both Ms. Bove and Ms. Brock. Overall, Ms. Bove described her experience on that day teaming with Ms. Brock as frustrating. She stated that as a hearing deaf interpreter team, they're expected to follow a consecutive interpreting protocol via the demand control schema. She claims that Ms. Brock continually performed simultaneous interpreting, which caused confusion and interfered with the workflow process. Ms. Bove was asked, did you tell Ms. Brock at any point in the interpreting assignment to stop speaking? Ms. Bove was unsure what was meant by the term stop speaking. And she suggests that Ms. Brock misunderstood. She went to further explain that in a team interpreting situation, if multiple people are talking, it is normal protocol to ask them to hold on to complete an interpretation or manage multiple conversation using the demand control schema. Ms. Bove was asked, did you make any comments about Ms. Brock's work to the consumers in the room? And Ms. Bove says, I don't recall making any comments about Ms. Brock's interpreting abilities to anyone else in the room. And then asked Ms. Bove, did you ever ask or demand that Ms. Brock hurry up, that she was being too slow? And so Ms. Bove says that doesn't sound like anything that she would say or demand, because she likes to take her time in those situations to make sure that there's effective communication happening. So she prefers a slower pace and taking turns. So overall, and again, those are just the highlights. The full report is there, but the two interpreters' accounts of this session or this interpreting assignment are different, excuse me. Ms. Bove denies telling Ms. Brock to hurry up or criticizing her, but they both agree that this was not an ideal situation. There were frustrating times between the both of them. So they do agree about that during that session. And then one thing to point out, which I thought was good, is that both agree that their frustrations or difficulty did not affect the client or the consumers that they were providing communication for. So that didn't suffer. There were some interpersonal issues that existed between the two of them as they were trying to get through that assignment. So again, we have our options. We can request that Ms. Bove complete 2 hours of continuing education courses related to effective teaming, or we can dismiss the complaint, or any of the other options that are on that fee guideline. I will open it up to you to ask me questions. Oh, I didn't share this part too, sorry. And Ms. Brock, she was asked the same question. What would be an ideal solution? What result would you like to see at the end of this? And so really, Ms. Brock wanted the acknowledgement and the respect as a fellow professional ASL interpreter, and to be treated with respect. And she feels that bringing this complaint will encourage Ms. Bove in her future interactions to be kinder and be more respectful. when teaming with interpreters. And now I'm done.
Commissioner Cohen, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, this is Commissioner Cohen speaking. So one challenge about these interpreter complaints is how long ago they happened. It's very difficult for people to call to mind all of the details. As the complainants has, as the respondents have said, it's just a he said, she said because of that. Based on the information provided, I don't see any significant allegation. It seemed to me like it just wasn't a good fit as a team. I would like to propose that I would like to move that we recommend to the board to dismiss this complaint. I think I said that correctly. This is Commissioner Stanko, I second.
Okay, the motion passes. And that brings us to the end of this meeting. We have made it prior to 3:30, so good job, everyone. Thank you for being here on this Friday. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn and kick off our weekend. Commissioner Cohen, I second.
Thank you, everyone.